2015 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited with a 3.6, going to do a serpentine belt. First you want to do is get like a fender cover, put it in the front, remove your engine cover, held on by two fasteners, a little grommet there and grommet there, go down these little nipples sticking up, one there and one there, and it slides into the little notches right here and there. And what I'll do is I'll mark my cover so I know where they're at when I'm going together. Helps ease the installation, okay? Then you want to get yourself an 8mm nut driver. Loosen up the hose clamp on the throttle body, loosen up the hose clamp on the air cleaner assembly. And then you want to remove this breather tube. You might have to get a flat blade screwdriver to help pry it off. Then you got two 10s. Remove these, and then you want to remove your two hold down clamps, and then you want to twist these off of the air cleaner box itself. And down below is an idle air intake air temp sensor, so be careful. It's inside this, so when you get this up, it's on the bottom. You can go underneath and twist, push in little tabs and pull the connector off. And yes, there's one more hold down clamp there, one more hold down clamp over here. Then you can remove the whole assembly up. My filter came with it. Pull it up, and then the sensor's down below here. What you need to do is push in a little piece there. Push that in, releases the clip, okay, and pull it off. And get this aside. What you want to do is you want to inspect your air cleaner now, and if it's dirty, you should replace it. Okay, now is the time to test your strength. Need a 4-inch extension, 1/2 inch, and a big ratchet for your 1/2 inch with a breaker bar, cheater bar going on it. And down below on that tensioner is a tensioner shock, hydraulic. So when you want to go, you want to push it that way, and go this way. You want to go slow till it stops. And it's a lot of pressure. Okay, and when it stops, you can work your way over there and undo the belt off the power steering pulley. And then when you get it off of there, then you can release the pressure. Okay, and then you can remove your tools so it doesn't fall down inside there. But I forgot to tell you, draw a little map diagram of your belt routing. Okay, here's my crank, tensioner, alternator, and they put the alternator backwards so they can get more room without having it sit up higher inside here because there's no room. So that's why they did it that way. So now I did it out, took it off power steering pulley. Now I just got to work my way around, get it off everything, and then gonna have to fish the belt down through the inside between the pulley and the front of the motor. Okay, this is nice. So the belt goes around this lower portion right here, this bracket. Okay, so you need to remove the lower alternator bracket. It's on the front. And I undid the alternator. These are two 15mm head bolts. Pretty long. Now I can pick up my alternator and get it out of the way. You got a 13 on the bottom and another 13 on the bottom here. You can remove those two, and then you can pull up the alternator side to side. Okay, now that's what it looks like. Okay, you got another 13 down here, and then you got a 16 or a 5/8 right here. Okay, and you can take those out, and you can take this whole bracket off. Okay, so when you're putting your new belt in there, make sure you put your belt, loop it around the bracket right here, just like that. Okay, with the flat up. Okay, this is what the bracket looks like. You don't have to take the alternator off, but I did. Okay, that's what it looks like. All right, so now hopefully we can get the belt out of there all the way. And if you notice, when you pulled the belt out, it came on like an old Ford. You gotta squeeze the belt together and push it through between these two pulleys so it comes around the, what is that down there? Oh, that's the power steering. I thought that was the power steering, but probably the water pump. Anyway, okay, we're ready. And that's the belt. So I'll put the new belt, slide it down through there, loop it around the power steering pulley, and then have this loop up come around there, come around that way, and then have it come around by the AC. Okay, I got my belt on. Belt is on everything except for the alternator, okay? Squeeze the belt together, push it through between these two pulleys, loop it around your power steering pulley, push the other one, this piece down around the crank, up and around the water pump, come back over here along the AC compressor, come back over here to this idler, loop it up, and then here we are again, okay? So now we can put our bracket in there, and then as we get the bracket in, we'll take this belt off of the water pump pulley, and then we can put it on, put our alternator in there. We'll have a little bit of slack on the belt, okay? Okay, put the bracket in there, get the bolts kind of tight, but not tight, okay? So you can be able to move this thing around so you can line up your other bolts, okay? And then take your belt off the water pump pulley. And next you want to do is pick up on your belt and get your alternator and swoosh it down in there and put this on the pulley and get the alternator down inside there at the same time. And then stick your long bolts in there, 15 head ones. And a real long 13 head one went down there. Okay, you put your alternator down in there, put your belt on, put all your bolts, get them threaded in there, get them started, just a couple threads, all of them. And then what you want to do is bring them all up, but don't tighten them up. Just get them a little tight. As you're doing that, just pick up on the alternator so it doesn't just drop down. Hold it up a little bit. Snug up all your bolts, and then go around and finally tighten them all up. Okay? And make sure you tighten the 2 15s, 2 13s, a 16, and another 13, okay? And then you want to make sure your belt is where it needs to be. And you need to put your tensioner tool back in there, which is the 4-inch, 1/2 inch with the big long breaker bar and a cheater bar. And then bring it on over that way, slowly, because it's got that strut down there, that spring-loaded tensioner, that dampener-like thing. And then guide your belt onto your water pump pulley and make sure it's on the AC. And then release it. Okay, I started my tensioner tool right about there, so I can pull it over here and hold it with my right hand. I'm holding it down that way with my right hand, and then I get in here with my left hand and fish it around the pulleys. Make sure it's in all of them. And then on the water pump and on the crank, and then I release it. And I'll do my final inspection of the belt and make sure it's in there, which it is. Now I can remove my tool. Put the air intake tube down inside here. Plug in your intake air temp sensor. Push down the throttle body. Put your little hoses in the little clamps. Put your air filter in there. Make sure the little square part goes over here. Okay? And then now you can fish your top of your air cleaner box onto here, and then you can put your 4 clamps on, and then tighten your 2 8mm hose clamps, and then put your 2 10mm head bolts inside there and snug them up. And then what you want to do is you want to start it, let it run just a little bit, shut it off, come back out, and inspect your belt and make sure that it looks good. It's in all the grooves and all the pulleys, and then that will be it. And you can put your cover back on if you marked it. You'll be able to line them up real easy, and then push it down the little knobs, little tits sticking up. Make sure you put a little bit of lube on there, help to go on there. Okay, so that'll be it. How you do your Serpentine belt. If I helped you out, that's great. Hopefully you can help me out by subscribing to me. And if you already have, I appreciate it, and I want to thank you. And also, don't forget about your breather tube, because then you'll get a check engine light if you don't put that back on. Okay? All right.